Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to everyone. So thank you for joining us today. So welcome to our first roadshow for Peers Anyone for our SmartPod Challenge 2023. So during the roadshow, you get the opportunity to hear from our corporate sponsors who have contributed innovation opportunities towards this year's SmartPod Challenge. So my name is Jalene and I'm a program manager at Peers Anyone and I will be the moderator for today. So in case you're not familiar with SmartPod Challenge, it's actually a flagship event which stands of Peers Anyone, which stands for Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagined at Blocks Anyone. And this is a program which is co-founded by MPA as well as NUS Enterprise. So this year we have 12 innovation opportunities which are championed as well as supported by more than 20 maritime corporates as well as organizations. And so how this roadshow will be run is that we'll be hearing a bit more about innovation opportunity, and there will also be time for questions and answers. So do feel free to type in your questions in the chat and we will get to them towards the end of the session. So the innovation opportunity that we'll be sharing more about today is how can we build confidence in ammonia as a marine fuel. So today we have a few corporates with us today. So we have Prabjot from CTech Solutions, we have Elias from ABS, and we also have Ziqian and Imran from MESD, which stands for Maritime Energy and Sustainable Development Center of Excellence. So thank you all panelists for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you. So right before we dive into our answers, I would like to show a special message from Senior Minister of State, Minister of Finance and Transport, Mr. Chee Hong Tan.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to join you today to share about the SmartPod Challenge, Peers 71's flagship initiative. Over the years, the challenge has catalyzed many maritime innovations, enhancing Singapore's standing as a leading global maritime technology hub. This year's innovation statements cover three important focus areas for maritime Singapore. First, sustainability to promote the use of green and clean energy and technology. Second, digital transformation to drive efficiency and transparency throughout the supply chain. And third, innovative solutions to enhance the safety and efficiency of port and ship operations. Peers 71 serves as a launchpad for maritime startups to expand their networks, forge partnerships across borders. Over the past few years, the maritime industry and investors have put in $50 million into Peers 71 startups, supporting their expansion in Singapore and overseas. Our Peers 71 alumni have not only raised significant capital, but have also made their mark globally. I'm encouraged to see the growth and success of our Peers 71 alumni as they expand operations and scale up their product offerings. We are proud of their achievements, the value they bring to the industry. Our startup community has taken the initiative to form the Peers 71 Circle to commemorate Peers 71's 5th anniversary. The Peers 71 Circle is an alumni club where members can remain connected wherever they are in the world. The club will also allow members to use their expertise and experiences to benefit future cohorts and to create a thriving startup community for the maritime industry. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur or maritime startup in Singapore, the SmartPod Challenge 2023 awaits you. Come join us to solve the most pressing challenges facing the maritime industry and be part of this exciting journey to shape the future of maritime Singapore.
So a little bit more context on this innovation opportunity. So there are many advantages from using ammonia as a marine fuel. However, there are also challenges which need to be controlled by technical measures, regulatory measures in order for ammonia to become a feasible solution for a carbon-free shipping economy. So ammonia is actually also a variable zero-emission marine fuel, and it can help to meet the greenhouse gas reduction targets which are set by governments all over the world. So however, ammonia also is very toxic in nature and has lethal effects, which also makes it a bottleneck to an increased adoption of this fuel in the maritime industry. So I've shared a bit of the context. So I would like to actually introduce our speakers right now. So I can invite you to share a little bit about yourselves and what you do as well. Maybe we could start off with Prabjot.
Thanks, Jalene. So basically, my name is Prabjot. I am from CTEC Solutions. I'm the VP of Technology from CTEC Solutions. CTEC Solutions does design solutions for the maritime space. And currently, we are looking at a lot of decarbonized solutions to achieve the goal of 2050 in terms of Singapore for the 2030 requirements that have been set out. So essentially, we design vessels employing all different top types of solutions, where ammonia is one of them as an alternative fuel, and we are happy to assist. Thank you, Jolene.
Okay, thank you, Prabjot. How about Imran? Would like to share a little bit more of yourself and what you do?
Sure, thanks, Jolene. So my name is Imran. I'm the Program Director for MESD, or Maritime Energy and Sustainable Development for short. We are one of the centers of excellence, which have been funded by SMI, and our vision is to be a leading global translational research center in the maritime energy and sustainable development space. We are housed under NTU, one of the research centers in the College of Engineering, and our research focuses on all the different alternative sources of energy, from ammonia, methanol to biofuels. And as mentioned, I guess we are in the second tranche of our funding with SMI. So the work that we're doing now is more on the detailed engineering as well as the test bidding trials scope of the research. Thanks.
Thanks. Ziqian, do you want to give an introduction as well?
Maybe an introduction of myself. So I'm actually the Senior Business Development Manager at MESD. So, and also beside that, I'm also doing project management for the respective R&D projects that we are working with industry. So we believe in joint industry collaboration to foster a good relation between the industry. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So last but definitely not least, Elias.
Sure, and thank you, Jolene. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elias. I'm joining from the American Bureau of Shipping, and as a managing principal, I'm part of the sustainability team of ABS, based in Singapore, in one of our sustainability centers around the world. And within the sustainability, let's say, scope, we are focusing on how, let's say, there are cross sections with shipping and the energy transition, new technologies, and how the decarbonization agenda can be further developed in the sector. One of the areas that we are actively looking at is the deployment of alternative and low carbon fuel options, and ammonia is certainly one of the fuels that we are closely investigating. We are partaking in many different projects, collaborations with the industry, academia in some cases as well, where we are looking to support the industry and help to contribute to solving challenges lying ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elias, for sharing. I think we have a really great panel today from many different points in the industry. So actually, let's get started. So my first question to all the panelists is, what are some of the challenges in building confidence for the industry to use ammonia as a marine fuel? Not gonna name any names here, but anyone can jump.
Let me get the ball rolling for you, Jolene.
Yes.
So I think there are a lot of gaps in technology for ammonia to be adopted as a marine fuel. We will get there. And I mean, we can talk from the macro to the micro, I would say, for ammonia to be adopted. We can talk about efficient and sustainable production of ammonia. But I think what I want to concentrate on would be the safety technologies and protocols or regulations to be in place to facilitate ammonia to be used as a marine fuel on board marine vessels. And I think in terms of that, the safe handling, the storage, I think this is key points which need to be developed for ammonia as a marine fuel. So maybe, Imran, you want to jump in?
Thanks, Prabjot. Yeah, I think the subject has matured a lot since it's definitely started. I think one key point I would like to make is, handling ammonia as a cargo it's very different than handling it as a fuel. Safety is of top prerogative. I think we have done some work with regards to ammonia as a fuel, I think about nearly 3 years back, starting in 2019. Did some far field analysis. So a little bit conceptual back then. I was just mentioning, I guess, offline with Prabjot that the conversation now is more on the detailed engineering of handling ammonia, so the mitigations, the designs of the water curtains, for example. So these are the things that we are looking into as well from MESD.
If I may take that one step further, I totally agree with Imran and Prabjot, but if I take that one step further, now is the time that we have to look into even operational challenges and how even the safety aspects of ammonia will affect the crew operations, possibly protection for the people that work around these areas and all these things. Study and initial high-level approaches have concluded that ammonia is the greatest concern is safety, of course. But now I think that the intersections with the operations is the next thing to tackle with our initiatives.
Thanks for sharing. Actually, I do want to follow up on your point about operational challenges because ammonia is not a fuel that everyone is using it. So wondering what are the safety protocols that are in place currently to kind of help manage crew safety, especially when they're dealing with ammonia. If you know anything, are there any technologies that are in the market that seem to be moving in this direction, or any startups, any solutions that you know of?
Well, if I may kick off this, right now ammonia is usually in shipping handled as cargo. That's what is in place. We don't have yet applications where it is a fuel. So ammonia as a cargo, it's quite contained. There is not much of, let's say, challenge to handle this, especially the crews of gas carriers. The gas ships are well versed with their standard practices and safety protocols to handle this. And I would say that the standard safety as of now is personal protective equipment mainly. Now, if we are looking, the main challenge is when we are looking to ammonia as a fuel, I think even from the initial bunkering, ammonia bunkering studies that have been carried out, there are certain features and certain elements that are primarily investigated, like the water curtains, for instance, as Dr. Imran mentioned earlier, and various measures that can focus on the containment of ammonia in case of leakage and in case something does not go as it should be.
I think, yes, you make a very good point. So I categorize that under leak detection and prevention, basically, because like Ilya said, ammonia has been used as cargo, but not as a fuel. And I guess because it is such a new topic, I think there's a space for a lot of innovation or innovative ideas and solutions to be developed. And quite a bit is around the safety space. So I think leak detection and prevention is one of them. You have safety protocols, training, the ventilation and the air quality management, and also the safety monitoring and the emergency response, which are all critical for when it comes to ammonia as a fuel. Because when you're ammonia as a fuel in comparison to ammonia as a cargo is just staying in your cargo tanks, and the only transfer is being done terminal to terminal. Whereas as a fuel, just to break it down, it's being used throughout your journey of the vessel. So the challenges are different, and thus the solutions will have to be adapted.
Yeah,
I think
if
what
I
I'll add
may
is,
also,
sorry, if I just add first, perhaps the safety protocols will change because it will be handled as when it's handled as a fuel, it will be handled in higher quantities and higher frequencies. So the safety margins have to be perhaps redefined in that sense. Sorry, Chechen, perhaps you're going to add in.
Yeah, I also wanted to add in the innovation can also come in terms of training of crew, how we can innovate in this sense. We may not able to use Ammonia as a real training a tool or package. So we must come up with some innovative ideas. How can we train our crew and constantly update them, refresh their protocol, knowing what to handle in terms of emergency.
Thanks so much, Sherry. I think it's very good points, and you segue really nicely into what kind of solutions you're looking for. They mentioned that crew safety is definitely one of them. So calling out to all startups who might also be in the space of training or education, there is really also a market in maritime for you. So if you have any questions, you can always write to Pierce Anyone on this as well. Yeah, so in our audience today, we also do have startups that are actually not in the maritime industry yet. So I think it's a great point that you brought out, that technology can actually be reimagined for maritime, and we're just not looking at something that's in maritime or something that's a little bit more closer to maritime, like supply chain and logistics. So thanks for that. So following up on these questions, just wanted to ask, what are some of the outcomes of success that you look for in solutions? For example, it's in terms of training, in terms of safety, what are some of the metrics for success?
Maybe I can. Sorry.
Go ahead, Vijay.
Yeah, I just want to start is that for anything that for the maritime industry to use, I think you have get endorsement from the class would be something that would be attractive for the owners.
Well, second, or I would say the most, the bottom line is always
And the
cost.
Yes.
See, I knew it.
Yeah.
So a cost-effective solution is definitely most welcome. I mean, will be very successful. And I think, like DJ said, with the class endorsement as well.
Cost is definitely one of the main drivers here. Now, class, yes, we are reviewing any technology, let's say, that is installed on ships and so on. However, we have to consider here that there could be a solution or something even suitable for the port side of things, or the operations, which would not necessarily need the strict, let's say, certification of class as such. So I think in that sense, we will have to see the case by case, wherever some technology or something that is developed, if it is to be installed on the ship, or tied up to that, then class more thorough, let's say, certification process will need to be followed through. But I would go one step further than that, because first of all, it has to be something that could be easily adaptable and adoptable from different stakeholders as well. If we see the workforce of today in ports and on the ships as well, they have not been used to work with very heavy, let's say, equipment when it comes to protective equipment and so on. So, for instance, if we're looking on how to protect stevedores from potential leakages, it will really have to be something innovative, or thinking out of the box on how can we create, let's say, a safe environment for them, without applying just the conventional protective measures that are already there, for instance, for industrial purposes. Because I cannot, for instance, imagine a stevedore going up and down with huge masks and so on. So I think the adaptability and scalability in terms of operations will also be a key point here.
Thank you so much for sharing. We do have one question in the Q&A chat, so maybe we could answer that first. So the question is, hi Prabjot and Elias, what costs are you talking about, and what are the current costs? Yeah. Then second question for Imran and Ziqian is, what exactly do you have in mind? For example, something easily adaptable. Maybe Prabjot and Elias could take the first question.
Okay, I can start on cost. Well, thanks for the question. Basically, decarbonization comes at a cost, and I would say to translate into a decarbonized solution. So when I talk to people, I tell them, do you know that currently your shipping rates or your freight rates, I mean, you're paying 99 cents for shipping for something coming from China. is because of shipping, is because of marine. Now imagine if this went to $100. So we have to try and see how to keep the cost sustainable as well, to ensure that the cost of transfer or goods is kept manageable. So cost to me is overall, not just in the innovative solutions. It will start from ammonia cost as a fuel, but also the cost of technologies and the final, because cost is a capex and an opex. Now capex involves the solutions that go on board. OPEX is more of what comes after. And I think the cost should be, I mean, when you have skills of economies, your cost comes down. So I think the solution needs to be widely adaptable and also implementable to make the cost more meaningful for everybody. Ilyas, if you may expand a bit.
Definitely, and what you just said about adaptability, I'm fully with you on that. You know, in case of a technology that can be adopted in many cases and so on, the economies of scale will help to keep the cost for each, let's say, particular user in manageable levels. But I would go one step back to see what is, let's say, the alternatives, or what is the benefit that the end user will get, and why would they opt for this technology against another one. We have to keep in mind that the cost of decarbonization is there, and it will not go down. So we are not necessarily saving costs, we are adding costs, as a matter of fact. So the business case will be built around the push of regulators for further decarbonization. Just an indication of that are what we are expecting in a couple of weeks from IMO, and these are the market-based measures, which will likely put a price on non-compliance, a price on continuous pollution by emissions. So there we will have to see what will be the driver for all vessel owners, operators, and so on to push on for decarbonization. And that's what will make the ammonia as a fuel appealing case. And together with that, all the accompanying technologies, so to say. So it is quite early, I would say, to put a price on it just now. But we have to keep in mind that especially in the next few years, when the market-based measures will shape non-compliance cost for the shipping industry, that will make it much more straightforward to have a business case as well.
Thank you, Prabjot and Elias, for sharing. I hope that answered your question. So there's also the question for Imran and Zitian. Maybe I'll just share it again. So the question is, what exactly do you have in mind? For example, something easily adaptable.
Maybe I can just take this one. Yeah, Jolene. I think I'm just hinging upon what Elias mentioned earlier. I guess I think as an owner, perhaps if you need to understand, the viabilities of all the different options that are available, whether it's from an operational or technological sense, so that first understanding or reviewing of what are the options that are available before just jumping straight into a specific alternative energy, for example, right? Maybe you could do other measures to fill the IMO requirements. So that sort of assessment, that sort of understanding should be done first. So I think that is something easily adaptable before looking into perhaps the options of the alternative fuels.
Thanks so much for sharing, Dr. Imran. Zitian, do you like to add?
I'm also not sure what we can provide at the moment, because ammonia is really is something new to the maritime industry. So that's why there is really the space and for startup to come in, and they can also, I was thinking that beside maritime industry, they can also look into other industry where they have some innovative that they can adopt in the maritime industry. So these are also some areas that they can also look into.
Okay, thanks all for sharing. I think there's the next question. I believe there will be more for me. The question is, do we have a deadline for applications on 31st of July 2023? And then the question is, what would we like to see? I guess I could answer it from Pierce Anyone angle. So in terms of what we would like to see, I would like to think of it as what you can share with us as a solution. So it's right that ammonia is actually a very, this innovation statement is very broad, and it's broad for a reason, because we don't want to limit the solutions that could come about. So if you want more information, you can go to Pierce & Young's website on our desired outcomes, but it could definitely be more than that. So some of our desired outcomes could include training the crew, like Zi Qian was mentioning just now, developing highly sensitive and digitalized sensors which are suited for the shipping environment. So ideally, I mean, if they're wearables for the crew, that would be great as well. Successful solutions could also be more sensitive to ammonia, the human nose, and also digitalized for immediate feedback. So these are just some of the areas that we look at, but it doesn't mean that your solution definitely has to fall within them. We look at a broad range for each innovation opportunity, but these are some of the areas that we are suggesting, but it doesn't mean if you're not in this area, we won't look at your proposal. You stand an equal chance to be admitted to the program accepted into Smart Port Challenge. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. And if you want more information, you can just drop us an email. Happy to jump on a call and take this offline as well. Okay, so we have a next question. Next question is, can you share what are the safety concerns of handling ammonia? I think this question for all the panelists here.
Yeah, maybe I can start first. Yeah, there are various guidelines, one of which is the ammonia exposure guidance limits, I guess, with AEGL for short. So at 5 ppm, for example, for ammonia, you can already smell the gas. But at 30 ppm, you know, for the different time stamps according to AEGL standards, it can cause mild irritation already. And at AEGL 3, which consists of about 2,700 ppm for about 10 minutes, is really quite lethal. So, you know, from that sort of study, really it shows that it's very toxic in handling ammonia. So you do have to put on all the safety protection PPEs and all that to handle ammonia safely. Prabhat, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think also we need simulation, the risk assessment and management. So I think that can be an opportunity as well in the innovative space, how to minimize or how to create a platform where you can do simulation, modeling, and scenario analysis, because this will be required by class. And Elias, you can come in, but it will be required just in the case of LNG as well. So we can draw parallels to LNG, but in this case, ammonia having the toxicity to be dealt with, there will be differences. So I think that is another area which one can look at.
Definitely, and looking, let's say, from a ship design point of view, or putting the right mitigation measures in place, that is one aspect, and that comes to the fields of certification by class, for instance. But even looking at the port operations, even the port authorities would like to know the implications that, let's say, an incident may have in their operations. And if we see the studies that are being carried out today, of course, Singapore has a leading role, but we're talking only about one port, and many assumptions that need to go there. So even building, let's say, a robust tool that can do such, let's say, simulations in different occasions around the world, wherever your ship calls, and you know, trying to produce some meaningful insights real time, even that could be something that can provide guidance on the local operations every time that we have, you know, a different wind, for instance, different weather conditions, and all these things.
And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
I think in the space for leak detection and prevention, to have some real-time detectors monitoring this, and also having such robust seals for the containment systems, I think this is also very critical, and there is a lot of development in that.
Thanks, Dr. I think a point that always keeps on coming out throughout this conversation is definitely crew safety, because crew are really, really important in shipping, and I think that is something that we don't really see if people are not yet in the maritime industry. So I'm happy to know that people are paying more and more attention in this area. Yeah, so we do have another question as well. So the question is, what sort of innovation solutions would equip crew to ensure their safety? Sorry, I think maybe the question is referring to what kind of solutions would help to ensure the safety of the crew members. Maybe some of the solutions that you have seen in other industries, maybe something that you think can be pivoted for the maritime industry. If I didn't get your question correct, maybe you could type it in the chat again. Yeah.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. I guess the question should be addressed to the attendees here who would have some innovative solutions, right? But I think one of the things that I could think of is like a remote bunkering operations, so the crew is basically far away from the particular operation and then shielded, for example, and then there's robotic arms or whatever automation that can be used to handle the transfers safely. Yeah, there's something perhaps out of the box.
Maybe I want to engage my panelists on a question. So I mean, ammonia, by the time the human nose can detect it at a certain ppm, but I think by then it sometimes becomes too late. So is there such devices to detect it earlier than the human nose already? Imran, Ilyas, Jichen, is there space in this for the early detection?
Potentially, but the question then would be, what is the time advantage you are getting in terms of, okay, if let's say that the early detection gives you a heads up like a few seconds before the detection with conventional means, that probably wouldn't change much. So I think the dynamics also of the concentration and the different levels would be interesting to look at, because if we're looking at a violent leak, for instance, probably you don't get much advantage with early detection. But if let's say it's a situation where there is accumulation over time from small leakages, for instance, that could be something.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Imran, sorry.
No, I was just going to add. I think it's a question for material science actually. At 5 ppm, it's a bit hard for I think conventional materials to detect, that sort of low concentration. But it's still in theory. Everything is still in paper form. Nothing commercially, I think, available at this point.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think because we also have some people online who are not in the maritime industry, I think it'd be great if you could share with them a little bit more on the trends in ammonia, maybe ammonia as a fuel for long-term and short-term, as well as long-term, or anything that you think is important for them to know, given that they are maybe quite new to the industry. Or any words of advice when coming up with a solution. I think they would love to talk to me as well.
I think I'll start this. So essentially, why ammonia and what are the prospects, we might say. And so why ammonia? Because it doesn't have the carbon, the C inside it. So that's one of the main reasons that ammonia is being looked at very seriously as a fuel for the future in comparison to others. Now, green corridors are being set up and for the supply of ammonia as well. And we see ammonia being a solution for long-range shipping.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Panelists, if anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'll just add that I think another reason for ammonia is because of its established infrastructure available already, again, as a cargo. But back to the earlier point I made, so now with increased quantities, increased frequencies, right? If it's being used as a fuel, what are the safety measures then to be developed. If I recall, I think there was a DNB study that only projects the uptake of ammonia sometime in 2030. So there is time to develop these safety protocols and innovations to handle the new fuel safely.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think I also wanted to give a bit more context into the people who are joining online today, who are not maritime, as well as, you know, those who will watch this video after. So maybe you could share a little bit of the nuances of the maritime industry that they do need to take note of when innovating for our industry.
Remember the class society. We should always, I mean, there are regulations. I think the regulatory bodies are important to engage with to ensure this compliance. And I think, I mean, ABS is one of them. And
Yes.
Ilyas, I think this is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
key for you.
Definitely. And classification societies have been around for 200 years. And always their role has been to ensure that whatever is installed on ships is safe and will ensure the seaworthiness of the vessel itself. Now, when we're looking at innovation, we are pushing the boundaries of what we know and the well-established procedures and so on. Our approach over the last years has been more open and more, let's say, welcoming to innovation, where I think the critical part is to whatever you do, whatever direction you take, you ensure that you have thorough risk assessment exercises and to make sure that through an iterative process include as many stakeholders as possible to ensure that you examine all the potential failure scenario and whatever, let's say, could potentially go wrong, so to ensure that that will not happen. So the risk assessment exercises play a crucial role here, and any solution planning and design should account for that, should make ample time for repeated risk assessment exercises to ensure that everything will be handled properly.
I think, Jolene, just to add also, let's not forget, after doing all this, a lot of training will be required for the crew because this is handling a new type of fuel. So getting competent crew. So there's a training aspect which will be very important. And this can also be mitigated with technology, right? If you can do the same operations autonomous or without or with lesser human intervention, that can be, I think Imran had highlighted that as well. So I would say these are the nuances in marine.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think we have heard a lot from all of you, and thank you so much for all your different pointers from different areas in the industry. So I would like to ask one final question. Just to wrap up, can you just share your final word of advice or your views on the topic to the audience, just as a wrap up?
If I may start off here, I would say keep an open mind. You can always look in other industries for inspiration, and since ammonia, for instance, has been around for quite some time, there are well-established processes and procedures in the chemical industry, fertilizers, and so on. There could be many good practices that are not yet marinized or not yet, let's say, brought into the spotlight of this industry. It's a great opportunity. It's, as Dr. Imran mentioned, it's quite early in the development of ammonia as a fuel, and there are still many stakeholders looking for directions, looking for how to develop the ecosystem further. So it is really a good time to jump on this just now, before, let's say, very concrete guidelines and regulations are in place. And by by taking the innovation limits one step further and ensuring that risks have been addressed properly, it's a great chance to start early enough.
Thank you,
Just
Elias.
to add, I think these innovations are continuously evolving, and thus I feel industry collaboration, research and development efforts need to come together to safely address these concerns to make ammonia or any other a viable future fuel.
Thank you. Dr. Imran?
Yeah, I was gonna end with that actually, prompted by you stole my word, collaboration. I think, yeah, I guess Elias mentioned about the role of class, but I also wanted to also add, I guess, because we are, in a way, experimenting or researching on something quite novel. So I think the university also, or the research institutes also play a part in this whole scheme of things. I think the university will allow research covering from all the different levels of TRL, whether it's a novel material science development of a simulation model, for example, to the lower TRLs, to the application sides of the research. So embarking on collaborations with the other partners. Universities or research centers like us happy to facilitate the discussion and to develop the technology into to a more mature level when it's fully commercialized, perhaps.
Thank you, Sherry. Ziqian.
Yeah, so they actually covered most, but I can also mention that this is a new area. So beside companies, agency might also need some certain helps to help them to monitor. So it's not only within the commercial side, there's also agency that you can look into, like SCDF maybe also new, maybe handling in terms of chemical, they may be experienced, but how to handle in emergency response is also one area. And lastly, if you need some industry connection, you always can look for Pier 71, they will connect you to the right stakeholders to give you certain advice.
Thank you for helping to put Pier 71's name out there. I promise I did not ask her to do that. So thank you all panelists for sharing today. So actually, I would like to have a photo taken of all of us. So maybe we could smile into the camera for a couple of seconds. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, maybe we can take one more. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think that works. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for your time today. So maybe I will share a little bit more about SmartPod Challenge for our audience who is here today. Just like to remind our audience that our deadline is on the 31st of July at 5 p.m. SGT. And if you want to find out more about the innovation opportunities, you could go to our Pier 71 websites. We also have upcoming roadshows happening until the end of July. So this is actually our very, very first roadshow for this. So we have many, many other roadshows coming up. Can I have it on the next slide, please? Yes. Okay, so our upcoming roadshow is with Jurong next Friday. We'll be covering these two innovation opportunities. It will be a hybrid mode, so that means we will have it online as well as in person at Pier 71. We do encourage you to come down as you will have the chance to speak to the corporates as well. You also can sign up for our other roadshows. So our next one is the Ask Me Anything session with PSA on the 4th of July. So also please continue to follow us on our LinkedIn and social media pages to get updates, and also join our mailing list to get the latest update on Pier 71, our programs, any various opportunities as well. So for startups who are going through the next stage of the program, should you get through, you'll be able to participate in Pier 71 Accelerate program, where you will get more detailed mentorship with industry veterinarians as well as access to corporates as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in this afternoon, and I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.